Well, good day to you. It is Monday, April 6, 2020. I'm coming right at you from my mother-in-law's living room. You can see the beautiful picture of flowers that's hanging behind me here. You can also see that my hair is a little bit shorter, and no, that is not because I went to the barber yesterday. I'm staying away from the barber, but I sort of willingly allowed my wife to trim my hair and to cut my hair yesterday with a pair of clippers. And she has never really cut anyone's hair before, but I bravely allowed her to do so. And it didn't turn out too bad, if I do say so myself. As you can see, I'm still growing out this beard, and I will continue to do that for as long as this social distancing is occurring in our life. And let's face it, it's probably not going to grow too much longer, but we're going to see where we are by the time this is all said and done. But today I wanted to talk to you about one thing, and that one thing is this. What do you do when you find yourself in a space that is confined? What do you do when you find yourself living a life where you feel restricted, where you feel like you can't do all the things that you really want to do, where you feel like you don't have as many opportunities as somebody else does? How do you approach that, and what should your attitude be when you find yourself in that kind of a situation? And I wanted to look at the life of Joseph to give us an example of a way in which we should live when we find ourselves living with restricted opportunities, not being able to do all the things that we want to do, or not having as much as someone else does. What should our attitude be, and what should our approach be to life? When we look at Joseph in the Bible, and the Joseph that I'm talking about today is not the Joseph of Mary and Joseph, not Mary's husband, and not the Joseph that is the father of Jesus, but the Joseph that was way back in the Old Testament. Joseph was one of 12 brothers, and his brothers got really jealous of him. And the reason why they got jealous of Joseph is because they felt like their dad loved Joseph more than he loved them. And so this is what they did. They decided that they were going to throw him in a pit, and they were going to sell him into slavery. And that's exactly what they did. What a loving, beautiful family. But they sold their brother into slavery. They sold him to some slave traders who took him to Egypt. And those very same slave traders, once they brought Joseph to Egypt, they sold him to another man named Potiphar. And Potiphar was a royal official under the Pharaoh of Egypt. And Joseph had to stay in Potiphar's house. He was brought to a country not his own, to a home not his own. Of all people on this earth, he must have been feeling like, I'm restricted. Why is this happening to me? I'm imprisoned. I'm not living the life I really wanted to live. I'm not living the life that I once had before. And there's very little that I can do now. If anybody had the right to feel that way, it was Joseph. But I want to read something from Scripture about the life of Joseph and what he did with what was given to him. And here it is in Genesis chapter 39, and we'll start at verse 3. When Joseph's master, and that was Potiphar, saw that the Lord was with Joseph, and that the Lord gave Joseph success in everything he did, Joseph found favor in Potiphar's eyes, and he became his attendant. Potiphar put Joseph in charge of his whole household, and he entrusted to his care everything he owned. From the time he put him in charge of his household and all that he owned, the Lord blessed the household of the Egyptian because of Joseph. The blessing of the Lord was on everything Potiphar had, both in the house and in the field. Joseph found himself in a terrible position, a much worse position than we find ourselves in. No matter how restricted we feel right now, no matter how confined we feel right now in our life, we don't have as many opportunities to do all the things that we want to do. Joseph felt even more so, and had a right to feel even more so. But even so, even though he was in a land not his own, and in a house that wasn't his own, he said, I'm still going to serve the Lord. I'm still going to do what he's called me to do. And in fact, God was so much with him that he blessed him so much that Joseph began to be put in charge of all of Potiphar's household. And in fact, with Joseph, it didn't end there. Joseph, even after all of this, was wrongly accused by Potiphar's wife and was put into prison. So when we're talking about confinement, when we're talking about not having access to all the things that we feel like we should have access to, being in a place where we're just confined in a confined space. Joseph was in that confined space. But even in prison, God began to bless Joseph. And in fact, the Bible tells us later on that while he's in prison, Joseph gets put in charge over the section of the prison that he was in. That's how much God was with Joseph. That's how much Joseph was determined to still serve the Lord and to still see great things done in his life. When life gave Joseph a lemon, Joseph made lemonade. When Joseph found himself in the dead of winter, he was able to sell snow to the Eskimos. Joseph took advantage of the opportunities that he was given. Even if the opportunities were not great, even if they were really small, and even if they weren't there at all, seemingly not there at all, Joseph said he was going to be used. He determined in his heart that he was going to be used, and not only be used by God, but succeed in everything that his hands touched. So whatever place you find yourself in right now, and whatever area of life you find, even beyond just being confined to your house or confined to your room, in whatever area of life that you find yourself in, if you feel restricted, that your rights have been taken from you in some way, just know this, that you can choose to use your situation to your advantage, or you can get upset by your situation. You could blame other people. You could say, if only I had this, or if only I had that. You could live in depression because of it, or you can take advantage of whatever opportunity is in front of you and find success. Anyway, guys, that's my message for today. I will look to talk to you again tomorrow. It is a beautiful day outside. I haven't gotten my walk in, and I'm looking forward to doing that, and looking forward to talking to you again tomorrow. God bless.